Today we're talking about 8 natural ways for women over 40 to ease anxiety. Welcome back to another episode of the Movement, Mind, and Meaning podcast. I'm your host, Megan Nolan. Before we get into these 8 ways that will support you as a human, a spiritual being, having a human experience, if you will, I want to share something new that I've created with you. I'm going to just give a little snippet to it. There will be more information in the show notes, but if you are somebody who wants to know how and why high functioning anxiety might actually be hijacking your success and stopping you from making the full impact that you're here to make because of the way it might be causing you to overthink and doubt yourself and overwork and overgive and question yourself constantly and constantly feeling like you're just running on the hum of anxiety, well then my brand new high functioning anxiety breakthrough assessment is for you. Okay, so it's a deep dive into where you're at and where you want to be and the plan to get you there. And you'll get your anxiety impact score, some success pattern interrupts, as well as a breakthrough roadmap for you to use and to follow. Okay, so I want you to take a look at that. It's in the show notes. If you're one of the first few people to grab it, it's at an incredibly no-brainer investment offer because it is brand new. And even if you're not one of the first 10 people, it's still going to be at a really incredible level so that it's super available because I want you to have these tools, this clarity, this direction, this understanding, right? And recognize that this is, again, a way for you to get to know yourself better. So it's all the information is going to be in the show notes. Go ahead and click that and grab one if that feels like you've just been searching for answers and you're like, please, somebody tell me how this is still happening and why. That's what the assessment's all about, okay? So let's get into it. Numero uno, movement. Movement is mind medicine. That's one of the tenets of this show. Movement is body medicine. Movement is soul medicine. And so that's why it's number 1. I did a whole episode on this, episode 54, talking about how important it is to move your body every day. Because, darling, in case you forgot, you're not a rock, you're not a tree, you're a human being, that's you. And me. Anyways, I love rhyming. The thing is that we tend to have very sedentary lifestyles, which is, of course, impacting our posture, increases our stress levels, affects our hormones, affects, our digestion, our metabolism, everything. And so move your body daily, move in a way that feels good to you. I'm not saying exercise. I'm saying move your body, right? We're moving blood flow, we're moving lymphatic flow, we're moving pranic energy flow through your body. And that's where we get that uplifting, effervescent, woo, I feel good. When you feel strong, you feel confident, you feel sexy in your body, it changes things for you, right? And there's so much science behind that. And we go deep into that into episode 54. So if you haven't listened to that one, go back and listen to that because it is all about that. Movement is mind medicine. That is number 1. Number 2, we're kind of move through the day here. One of the huge pieces, one of the pillars inside the flow framework, which is the tool set that I use and share with all my clients, is having a morning routine. And before you go try run away, if you're not a quote unquote morning person, it doesn't have to be at any certain time for it to be a morning routine. Okay? Okay. Are you okay now? You're not getting itchy on the inside? Okay. So it can be any time of day, right? Essentially. I mean, I guess technically before noon, but I'm a bit of a rule breaker. So whatever time. It's more about that intentional pause for yourself. Because when we are in that full force, going all the time energy, and we're not intentionally starting with a moment or 20 minutes or 5.5 minutes, however length of time that you choose to allocate and dedicate to your morning routine, then you're just going into default mode, right? And we tend to, if we wake up and we're just go, we're tripping the sympathetic stress response right out of the gates, right? And so we know that anxiety is a response to stress in our body. And so it's really important that you just have that foundation for the day in your morning routine. And so again, this can be literally 2.5 minutes while you're brushing your teeth, or it might be, in my case, an hour and a half, okay? And so for me, I'll just tell you what mine is I always have a big glass of warm water with some Himalayan sea salt and some lime or citrus. I prefer lime, but I know lemon. A lot of people talk about lemon, but I love lime. And as I drink that, I do my meditation. And, as somebody, myself, I have high functioning anxiety. And especially if I wake up feeling anxious, sitting and meditating and just like breathing, meditating is really challenging for me. And I find I spend most of the time actually thinking and or frustrated with myself because I'm thinking and I'm supposed to be meditating and like I'm not in the gap by any means. So for me, my go-to for meditation is mantra. So I use different mantras. So mantras can be anything, any sort of sacred sound that you feel emotionally connected to. Classically, they would be given to you by your teacher based on where you're at and where you wanted to go. But there's so many out there, and this is non-denominational. Like whatever word you feel really called to, maybe it's Yahweh, maybe it's Allah, maybe whatever it is for you. I love and I celebrate that and I honor that. And it might be something more, love, whatever, right? And so for me, based on what I'm working through and on in my own life, I choose my mantra based on that. Currently, I have the mantra Om Gam Shri Mahalakshmiye Namaha. So that is a mantra about and to Ganesha, who's the remover of obstacles, and Lakshmi, who is the goddess of abundance, and it's removing any obstacles, internal, external, to more fully express love and joy and opportunities and abundance in whatever form. So that's the mantra that I'm using currently. Okay, so I do my meditation and then I do my movement, and that's, doing my physio exercises for my shoulder, doing my workout, doing my yoga, doing my core activation, embodying my intentions for the day. That is, usually about an hour. Doing cardio, I dance, whatever. I just do some stuff that feels good to me, and then I ground out and I connect into my soul self, and then up and away. That's my morning routine. So it can be whatever you want. Okay, it can be whatever you want. Let's just say that. But it's really that like, supercharged to the day. Speaking of that, that starts the day. Okay, so let's just say that's the beginning of the trajectory. We're up. The plane has lifted off. And as we go and we're flying through space, or you are the plane and you're flying through the day, it's very important that you pause throughout the day to notice how you're feeling and to take some time for yourself to shift back into a more centered, grounded, regulated state in your nervous system. So you're back in calm authority, you're back in that connected awareness, and that comes through power pauses. So power pauses are little mindful moments throughout the day where you are tuning into yourself. You're shifting out of the head into the heart, right? Going from the mind to the body. And the body is the seat of your intelligence. And so you're, in essence, there we go. You are taking control of your focus. You are where your attention is. And especially if you're having an anxious day or a sad day, we tend to focus there, right? And so when we take a power pause, that's literally just taking a time out, and whatever that is for you, maybe you dance, maybe you shake, maybe you go outside with the dog, maybe you go for a little jog around the block, maybe you bounce on a trampoline, maybe you use one of your, many different tools that you have kicking around the house, and you just have some time for yourself. Okay, so what we're doing there is quieting. It's kind of like, when you're on a long international flight and they feed everybody and then they take the lights down and they're like, everyone have a nap now. It's like that. Okay. We went to Japan in November and I was like, are we having nap time? Like, this is great. They feed you and then they're like, lay down for a little rest. And so, and you can have a rest, right? If that's your jam. Okay, so power pauses. So we have move your body, morning routine, power pauses. So now we're cruising altitude, and it's like, on the plane, they bring you snacks periodically, and they're like, would you like a drink? And then you're like, of course, I would love a fizzy water. Thank you so much. And so it's that like dripping it throughout the day, right? And I want to keep my analogy. Actually, let's put the analogy in here because I'm talking about it and it's going to work well. So number 4, hydration and nourishment throughout the day. Okay, so this is really important. I know when you get in a flow state or you're hyperfixated on something, you probably forget to even pee, let alone drink enough water or eat consistently throughout the day. Okay, so I know that. It's okay. I get that myself. Because it's a thing, right? Typically, we kind of just power through until we realize, like, I feel a little bit funny. And you're just powered on oat milk lattes and like the 3.5 almonds that you found. And so hydration is very key, but especially in integrating electrolytes. So it's important for you to be fully hydrated by replenishing your electrolytes, especially if you are moving your body and you're getting sweaty, okay? And if you're a warm person or you like me and you live in a warm climate and you're sweating, like right now, it's very important for you to replenish those, okay? So, you know, maybe the liquid IV, there's a bunch of different products that are really great, and just make sure that they don't have a load of sugar, okay? So making sure you're hydrated, and then having snacks throughout the day so that you can keep your blood sugar level. I don't know about you, but when my blood sugar drops, I feel anxious. And it actually is scientifically valid, because when your blood sugar goes down, it's a potential threat to your body. And so it activates the sympathetic fight, flight, freeze, fawn response. So it can trigger anxiety in those of us who are prone to it. So really important is that we are eating really solid, protein-rich, you know, healthy fats throughout the day. In particular, we want to make sure that we're getting magnesium. So magnesium is calming and relaxing. So magnesium, that's like spinach and almonds, as well as getting your omega-3s, and that might be through, you know, supplementation, or it might be through nuts and flax seeds or fish oils if that's your thing. And then having solid protein throughout the day so that you are just, and again, that doesn't necessarily have to be animal protein. It can be whatever your body likes, but just having those throughout the day, right? It's kind of, let's keep with our plane analogy, how they periodically come and give you snacks. Not great snacks on the plane, but you get the idea. They want to keep you fed and happy and, you know, something to do when you're on a long flight. Okay, and so so we're up to number 4. Number 5 is, let's keep our plane analogy. Okay, so you're on the plane and you're getting close to the destination, and then you notice them beginning to prepare for the descent. Flight attendants, please prepare for landing. And so then they start doing things, and then they come around and they tell you to put the seat up and put the tray away, and please put your bag back underneath, and da 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 da. And then you can feel the plane decelerating, you can feel it begin to slow down. That landing routine and ritual of the plane before we actually get anywhere near the gate, that slowing process, is what your evening experience is in your body, right? Especially if you're just powering through the day, running on caffeine and cortisol, and just like all through the day. Those of you watching on YouTube just saw a really funny face I just made. If you're listening just to the podcast, just imagine I look like kind of crazy. Anyways, evening experience, a slowing down process for the body and the mind, to prepare you for a deep, restful, rejuvenating sleep. And it's essentially that deceleration process, right? And so important, because your sleep is so important. And, you know, it could have been its own category because of how restorative it is for the brain and for the body, but it's part of the evening experience. So I'll just give it a shout out right here, right now, is that making sure that you have a set bedtime. Your body, your circadian rhythm loves consistency. That's why it's called rhythm, and it's rhythmic, right? It's got a pattern to it. And so making sure that you do your best to stick to that, and you're reducing your screen time, you're unwinding, not drinking too much, but maybe you have a nice unwind tea or something like unwind tea at the end of the day so that you can settle yourself down, maybe reading, journaling, yoga, whatever, okay? So evening experience, so important to prep you for beautiful sleep. And then here, what we want to make sure to do is, as we navigate, so now, you know, we're going to leave the plane analogy here. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, okay, well, yeah, we'll make sleep its own, because I accidentally put power pauses twice. So we have the evening experience, and then making sure that you are getting enough solid quality rest, right? Because that's where the protein-rich snacks throughout the day, because people with spikes in their cortisol will typically wake between 1 and 3 o'clock in the morning. If you're waking up consistently at that time, that might mean that you need to eat more fats and protein later on in the day, so that we can keep you satiated all throughout the night, and that you're not waking up with that AM anxiety, which is classic when people have higher cortisol levels because of anxiety or constant stress, okay? All right, so we have move your body, morning routine, power pauses, evening experience, sleep, okay? So sleep, snacks and hydration, and then fierce self-compassion. So self-compassion is a combination of 3 things, is mindfulness. It's an awareness of what our focus is on in that present moment, as well as common humanity, recognizing that, you know what, a lot of people experience these things, and it's not abnormal for us to get really stressed out or get really overwhelmed. And it's really, it's quite normal to make mistakes or whatever, because in our mind, especially in a stressed mind, it gets hyper fixated on the mistakes and the problems. And so having that recognition and taking a step back of like, oh, well, yeah, this happens. This is normal. It's okay. Okay. So fierce self-compassion is mindfulness, common humanity, and kindness. And the thing is that when we're experiencing stress, we're hardwired for the negativity bias, fixated on the faults, the flaws, the problems. It can be really challenging for us to be at all gentle with ourselves. And so really that's where it's so important for us to make sure that we are practicing this fierce self-compassion. And it's such an interesting distinction, because within that fierceness, there's a tenderness, but also that boundary and that intentionality. And so I'm listening to a book about this, so more to come on self-compassion, but it's really important. And it's actually the antidote to stress and anxiety and sadness, is learning to be patient and loving with ourselves. Because when we are taking our power pauses and we're coming out of the head and into the mind, it's easier, not easy sometimes, but easier for us to access that higher wisdom and that inner guidance. That is compassion, that is kindness, that is understanding that things happen, right? And so it's so important. I was freaking out that I didn't have my mic on, but we're good. It's so important that we practice the same level of care and tending and tenderness with ourselves as we do with other people. Okay, so that's number 7. And then, so fierce self-compassion. And then really the last one is the power of no. And the power of no is learning to set boundaries for ourselves, and learning that no is a complete sentence, and learning that we can take a power pause. Especially, this happened, recently. We can get caught up in an idea, and we're really excited about it, and we start, saying, committing to things, and then we have a moment after, and we realize, is that what I really want to do? And so it's a recognition that as we learn more about yourself, you can say, wow, that's a great idea. Give me some time to think about it. And then you can think about it, because many of us are people pleasers in this community, right? We were, especially women, or that were, identify as women, we tend to be like very, yes, sure, that works for me. And we try to support and show up and give, because that's loving, that's kind, that's beautiful. But it's so important that we have a boundary around that in a way that feels good to you, right? And so learning how to honor yourself, which is fierce self-compassion, to do something that, is a beautiful reciprocal relationship, that's a compromise, that works for everyone. And that feels really good, to be able to assert yourself in the moment, to say, okay, actually, let me just think on that, and then come back and are you a yes? Are you a yes, yes, yes? Or do you have questions, or do you need time, or are you a no, right? And so that's part of the fierce self-compassion, is learning to have that boundary and that line and say no. And that can be really challenging, especially when you pride yourself on being able to do it all, which I definitely used to, not gonna lie. So really, that's so important. That's so important. And the last thing is actually, and this probably could fit into all of them in a way, is that actually this works for this one, is that when we're in that moment when we're feeling, oh, I don't know, what should I do? The power of now. And it's so important for us to be present in the now. And when we have these challenges, right, anxiety will tend to pull us forward into worry or anticipation or fear or doubt about the future. And depression will tend to pull us back into rumination and frustration about mistakes, about the past. And so it's so important to bring ourselves into the now, so we can make that aligned decision for whatever that is for you, or just be present with whatever's happening. And that's really essentially a power pause, right? And so those are what I wanted to share with you this morning. It's 1:30 in the afternoon. I don't know what it is today. So to review, move your body, morning routine, power pausing throughout the day, an evening unwind experience, making sure to really have a beautiful, not rigid, but having some fluidity around your routine around sleep, making sure that you are having yummy, healthy snacks throughout the day, and making sure that you're staying well hydrated, having fierce self-compassion, and learning the power of no. So those are the 8 natural ways for women over 40 and all humans, truly, but that tends to be who I support, women and those that identify as women, to ease anxiety naturally. And so I hope that these really landed for you. I hope maybe it was some reminders or from refreshers or some new insights for you. I really hope that. I'd love to hear what landed for you. And again, if you are wanting more insight into where you're at currently and a plan to get you to where you want to go so that you are thriving beyond anxiety, you're excelling in all areas of your life and your business and your work, without completely losing yourself or sacrificing your sanity or compromising your well-being in the process, then definitely check out the High Functioning Breakthrough Assessment, which will be linked in the show notes. So again, thank you so much for being here. I honor your quest for learning and I honor you in your journey. And I know that sometimes being a human ain't easy. And I'm proud of you for doing it the way you're doing it. And thank you for listening, watching, being here. Oh, I almost forgot to do the power pause. Whoopsie. I was so excited. Okay, so in every episode, typically not after I've wrapped everything up, but we do a power pause. And remember how important they are and impactful they are. So now we're going to do a 60-second power pause to calm anxiety fast. In the moments when you haven't been doing the 8 things we just talked about, which were totally inside the full episode of the show, when you haven't been doing those and you're feeling some kind of way, here's what we can do. Place one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart, sit or stand tall. Inhale through your nose and exhale out through your mouth nice and slow. Make a slow rumbly sound. Kind of sounds like voo. Ready? Voo. Soften it. Deeper from the belly. Voo. Your body, when we're experiencing anxiety, is seeking safety. And for the most part, you will be safe in the moment, right? Unless, of course, you're in that random situation. Hopefully, you know other tools to navigate that will keep you safe. But breathe in through your nose and breathe out and repeat to yourself, I am safe. I am here. It's okay to feel the way I feel. Again, I'm safe. I'm here. It's okay to feel the way I feel. One more time. I'm safe. I'm here. It's okay to feel the way I feel. Notice a shift in your body. Notice if you feel yourself more grounded, more steady, more anchored, more in your body and not in the voo, voo of the mind. So that was a little power pause. You just learned that that's one of the 8 ways to naturally ease anxiety. If you've been listening to the full episode of the Movement, Mind, and Meaning podcast, or if you're just watching this alone on YouTube, make sure to go ahead and listen to or watch the full episode, which will give you so many more tips and nuggets that will be linked in the show notes. And if you're listening and watching to the full episode, thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this incredible community and doing this work to thrive beyond depression and anxiety using these mind and body tools. I honor you. I love you. I'm so grateful for you. If you're curious about the breakthrough assessment, make sure to check that out in the show notes. And I will see you next week for the next episode of the Movement, Mind, and Meaning podcast. Sending you so much love and aloha. Bye-bye.